Hey my friends, how's it going? It's Ultimus, and for today's video we're going to be talking about patch 7.1.5 as we now have a release date for it. It is January 10th, so roughly a week before Nighthold launches, which makes sense. A couple of us have been saying that it would have to come out before Nighthold, not actually on the day of Nighthold, so the 10th is the only day that really makes sense. So that's pretty exciting. Now, patch 7.1.5 is, at least at first glance, a little bit deceitful, only because it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot to it until you really dive into some of the changes that are coming, and then it turns into kind of a big deal. We have a lot of class changes coming to just how core abilities work, how overall class design is structured. We have changes to talent trees. We have changes to PvP talent trees. So classes are going to be changed all across the board, and individual specs are going to be changed as well, which is always interesting. I feel like, again, in the middle of an expansion like this, big changes like this are always very interesting to see. And I'm not going to go through all the class changes here because, I mean, just with all the stuff that we have to do, there would just be no time for any of it. But what I will say is, I know for the two classes that I play the most right now, which are my warrior and my demon hunter, I'm actually fairly excited about the change. I'm still kind of bummed to see hamstring on the global cooldown, and I'm still a little bit bummed to see warriors lacking in the area of being able to kind of lock down and stick on top of people without taking the talent that allows us to, heroic leap a little bit more often, or take two charges on charge. But other than that, the changes that are coming to warriors, I'm actually pretty excited about. Some of the new talents that we have coming, I'm looking forward to. So I'm willing to give it a shot. And again, I've definitely seen worse patch notes for warriors. So that being said, also demon hunters overall pretty excited about some of the changes coming to them. And I think it'll be nice to have a little bit more solid single target damage is what it looks like it'll be on top of our AoE. Because, I mean, anyone who plays a demon hunter will tell you flat out, AoE DPS is where the demon hunter shines. They destroy. I remember, like, even for myself, I'm barely item level 860, and there was one mythic I was doing where I was pulling close to 3 million DPS, just on big AoE pulls. Now obviously that's like, padding the meters and a ton of trash along with stuff like that, along with the boss and things like that, but just stuff like that. Like, even on my warrior, the highest I've gotten is 1.5 million on my warrior, on a big trash pull like that. So demon hunters definitely the kings of AoE when it comes to melee AoE. So it'll be nice to see some single target stuff coming up for them. We are getting new legendaries for all specs. They are changing how some legendaries work, as well as adding some new ones in entirely. I know, for example, we have Archivon's Heavy Hand, which currently on live has a 15 rage refund for Mortal Strike. It's being nerfed down to an 8 rage refund, so just about cutting it in half, really. Now, obviously, it sucks because my Mortal Strike costs me like 1 rage right now, even after the refund. So that definitely hurts a little bit, but it doesn't make it terrible. I still think it's one of our best in slot legendaries. So looking at changes like that, along with the one that my Demon Hunter has, which is Prydaz Zarvik's Magnum Opus. It's gonna, every 30 seconds, you're gonna gain an Absorb Shield for 25% of your maximum health for 30 seconds, as opposed to requiring you to be out of combat for 5 seconds. So some good changes there on some of these as well. And again, there's just no way. I mean, with all the legendaries here, there's no way we're going to be going through all of them. There is a handful of new ones. We're looking at, looks like 1 legendary for each spec. They're going to be coming to the game, which is kind of cool to see that kind of stuff as well. And then we have some new legendaries that are here for any class. So that alone is pretty spiffy, if you ask me, especially with trinkets. Now we're looking at some trinkets as well. We've got the Archimon's Hatred Reborn, which is a nice little absorb shield attached to a strength, agility, stamina, or intellect trinket. And then we have Killjaden's Burning Wish, which is an agility or strength or intellect trinket. And then we have Velen's Future Sight, which is agility, strength, or intellect as well. And there's some different abilities and stuff attached to all those. And then on top of the legendary changes, we have a change to the way secondary stats are going to be accrued and how they calculate up. They're basically nerfing how they calculate up and how they add into your stats and your damage by a decent amount. So basically how they're changing how secondary stats are going to work is it's going to require 50 more points into that secondary stat to see a 1% increase. So you're going to see here on the screen we have Critical Strike. 400 is needed for a 1% increase, up from 350. Haste 375, up from 325. Mastery 400, up from 350. And Versatility 475 is needed for a 1% damage and healing increase, up from 400.950. So a little bit more. So a little bit more actually for versatility. If you look at 475 up from 400, and then 950. Sorry, I was reading that wrong the first time. 950 up from 800 for healing reduction. So that's kind of crazy. So versatility is seeing the largest change numbers wise. So we'll have to see how this is all going to play out. I'm pretty sure how this is basically going to. They're trying to do this to make it to where it isn't so hard to get upgrades anymore. Because that was one of the things that I'm finding right now. Even sitting around 864 with all of my best item level stuff on my warrior, unless it's a significant item level upgrade, it's really not much of an upgrade. And even then, it's a dice roll where they're just gonna have the right stats or not on it. So it's kind of a big deal with this one. And then also, what you're looking at is with jewelry and stuff like that. You're going to see jewelry now getting 10% more secondary stats than any of their slots at the same level at 880. Jewelry gets 20% more stats than any other slots at the same level. So they're buffing up the way that all of your jewelry slots are going to work as well. So they did lay out their goals here for these changes to kind of give the TLDR of the goal number one. Is they're noticing that people are passing up even up to like 15 item level increases in favor of secondary stats. That's not something they really feel is fun, and they really want players to focus on. The second thing on goal 2 is they want to improve rings and necks. They want to remove the primary stats from the slots in Legion. Means that your choices of secondary stats are impactful. They really want you to focus on the secondary stats. So they want to make it to where you're not passing up item level for secondary stats, but they still want to make secondary stats impactful and meaningful. So they're going to be buffing up all of the item level attached. The stats per item level attached to jewelry, and then increasing total stats on gear. So what we're going to be looking at here is example of, they put the first satyrs or spalders. You're looking at the heroic version, 865. Previously it was 1,119 agility or intellect. This time around it is 1,174 agility or intellect, with 1,678 stamina previously, and then the new one will be 1,761 stamina, as well as some increase to the secondary stats on there as well. So there are lots of changes coming with that as well, which again, some of this stuff doesn't seem like a big deal at first glance until you really think about it, and it's like, man, this is kind of a big deal when it comes to the patch and the patches that we've gotten. So it'll be really interesting to see how this is going to play out, if this will actually achieve the goal that they're going for in trying to make it to where people are actually going for the higher item level loot, as opposed to stuff with just their best in slot stats. And then something else that we'll touch on just briefly, I'm not going to go into a whole lot, but since we're talking about stats and loot, I will address this, of course, is that loot loot with change secondary stats. So they're changing away some of the stats, are working on Nighthold loot that's going to be coming very, very soon. So what you might see in the Dungeon Journal now on live as you take a peek into the future will more than likely be different when the loot actually comes out, come patch 7.1.5, and then the week after once we finally get into Nighthold. Some of the other things coming with 7.1.5 are, of course, we have the Brawlers Guild highlights or fights. That's coming back. They're going to be making some changes to how some of this works. And I'm not too familiar with the Brawlers Guild. I haven't really done a whole lot with it, so I'm not going to comment too much on it. Although I have a couple friends and I know of some people that are actually really excited this is coming back. So good luck to you guys in that one. The micro holidays, those are making an entrance for the first time, and this is something I'm actually looking forward to, because this is kind of like fun little small things that you can do throughout the game while you're kind of killing time. So I definitely want to take a look at what these look like. So micro holidays are a new addition that we're seeing with patch 7.1.5, and the way that they describe it are types of celebrations and ways to celebrate and pay tribute to different part of Azeroth's culture and some of the history and stuff that we've seen with that. These micro holidays are called micro for a reason, in that they only last for a couple days. I think they said the maximum we're going to see is 3 days. So if you take a look down at the timeline here, they have the first ones proposed for January 21st through the 23rd, which is the Call of the Scarab, which is a throwback to Encourage. Next one, February 23rd, only 1 day, the Hatching of the Hippogriffs. April 5th, March of the Tadpoles. April 28th, May 10th through the 12th, May 27th, June, so etc., etc. So we're seeing these really small events going on throughout the world, and it's not like they're going to be constantly going one after the other. There is some time in between each of them, so I think that aids to the longevity and the enjoyment of these, because it's not going to be like something constantly going on. It is going to be a one-time thing for a little bit until the next rotation comes on. And it's not going to be like every weekend you're going to have a new micro holiday, or every day there's going to be a new micro holiday. It's going to be one here and there for a couple days here and there. And I think it adds a little bit more flavor to it. Little stuff, if you log on for the day and you're waiting for your friends to get online, you're like, oh, it's the 23rd. I can just go do the Hatching of the Hippogriffs for a little bit. Might as well, right? Check it out. They do say that they do not have permanent rewards or achievements. Some will offer temporary cosmetic buffs, but nothing you could add to a collection, which is a little disappointing. But on one end, we'll see how it plays out. I feel like there's enough stuff to hunt down in game too that will, I mean, who knows? And I'm sure this will be one of those things that they'll be looking over to and checking and seeing if they need to add anything to it, take anything away, all that stuff like that. So overall, very, very excited about some of the little things like this that are coming. Just small little things that add a little bit of life, a little bit of fresh air to what's going on in WoW. Along with micro holidays, we're also seeing the addition of Mist of Pandaria time walking dungeons. You're able to queue up for those once you're level 91 or above. They are changing the way professions do function a little bit in Legion. I want to take a quick look at that real quick before we move on. So a couple of the biggest changes coming with 7.1.5 and professions is Obliterum. Obliterum now has a cap of 10, up from 8, and increases the item level of crafted armor by 5 to a maximum of 865 now, as opposed to the original 855. So they're still keeping the crafted gear relevant and able to play into gearing up alts if that's how people want to. It still requires 2 Blood of Sargeras, and the target item must be soulbound. Blacksmithing patterns. Now this is kind of cool, at least for me, because I do blacksmithing on my warrior. And I do miss a lot of the old school blacksmithing stuff that used to come with WoW. And so a lot of this changed as things got simplified. Cataclysm changed a lot of stuff, etc., etc. So they're adding back a lot of these old school weapons. 7.1.5 PTR adds recipes for several old school weapons, including some that were data mined a decade ago that never made it into live servers. So that's kind of cool. Acquiring these items will have a bit of a classic flair. You'll complete quests and be sent back to classic air zones to gather the quest items. We hope some armor recipes will be added in the future, like of course the enchanted thorium breastplate and fire plate gauntlets, as well as ornate mithril armor. So a lot of cool stuff coming with this. This hammer is kind of dope, though. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like that. It's kind of cool. So it's kind of cool to see professions, at least specifically blacksmithing for me as a blacksmith, getting a little bit of attention. I'm seeing some changes coming to that as well. Of course, enchanting, engineering, jewel crafting, all that stuff is going to be changed as well, but we're not going to go too in depth on. And then one of the other cool things coming with this patch that I am excited about as a PvPer is the revamp to Blade's Edge Arena. So now what we got going on here is the original one, so kind of classic Blade's Edge, what we've come to know. Even this map has gone through some changes over the years, but this is what we have as of now in Legion. That's the top-down view from the very, very high up pinnacle there. We've got the old school loading screen there attached with it. Good times. This is going to be the new loading screen, so pretty excited about that. And then, boom, there we go. That's some of the newer high-res stuff going on with that one. That's the sky. We don't really care about the sky. I'm not gonna lie. Sorry. I'm not looking at the sky when I'm in an arena. That's all I'm saying. So definitely some cool textures going on there. Hopefully some of the pathing gets sorted out with some of the stuff. Just, you know, as a warrior, always dealing with no path available with charge. Some of the updates to some of these axes. You can see the Warcraft movie promotional transmog axe there lodged in some wood. So overall, pretty cool looking. Pretty excited about these changes to all of the maps here and the stuff. I did hear rumors, of course, as well of we're seeing possibly a snowed over Alterac Valley, or sorry, not Alterac Valley, Arathi Basin coming, as well as some other queuable PvP maps is coming very, very soon. I don't see any of that being added into 7.1, but I remember them talking about it, so hopefully very, very soon, if we don't see it in 7.1.5. And then, of course, you can buy the Mist and Pandaria ensembles now. Players can purchase many Mist and Pandaria PvP items individually for Marks of Honor. In patch 7.1.5, you can buy all armor appearances for a set once as a part of an ensemble for 12 Marks of Honor. So, pretty fair price there, 12 Marks of Honor for the old school gear. Not too bad at all. While Legion PvP sets are recolors of tier PvE gear, Mr. Pandaria PvP sets have unique designs for some of the popular sets, so anyone who played during that time is quite familiar with it, and it's kind of cool to see being able to access this stuff a little bit simpler. So, pretty spiffy. And last but not least here, the one thing that I skipped over initially and intentionally at the beginning to talk about here at the end is probably the one thing that most of us are excited about when it comes to 7.1.5 is the artifact knowledge catch-up coming in 7.1.5, and I'm not talking about condiments here. The catch-up mechanic. Basically, how it's going to work now is you're going to be able to purchase these little things here. The Artifact Research Compendium for Order Hall resources, essentially, which makes sense. It wouldn't make much sense for it to be able to be purchased for anything else. And so you're able to turn those in, which will boost you up to Artifact Knowledge level of a certain level. So we've got the first one here, Volume 1, is Artifact Knowledge level 5. The second one boosts you up to level 2. The third one boosts you up to level 15, and the fourth one boosts you up to level 20. But there is a limit to it, so it does say with each of these, whatever it boosts you up to, so this one in particular will start with 5, for example. The Artifact Research Compendium Volume 2 buffs you up to Artifact Knowledge level 5, but it is not usable if the pupil has already researched 5 or more Artifact Research documents. So do keep that in mind. Again, this is going to be perfect for those alts that we haven't quite leveled up yet at all. I think my Demon Hunter might be able to do up to level 20. We'll have to find out. But so this is going to be great if you're looking for you've been putting off leveling those alts because you don't want to get on the artifact weapon grind. It's just more than you want to deal with to go through all of that. Well, here you can, for whatever reason you want to use these. I'm going to be looking forward to them. And it does seem like they all cost 1,000 Order Hall resources, which most people on their main have a disposable amount of Order Hall resources at this point anyways. I know on my warrior I've got over 24,000 on him, and I feel like I barely put a dent in it. Like I purposefully waste it from time to time, just like I'll put work orders in for stuff, and I have so much of it. So the fact that these are a buy not account is great, so that way I can purchase these on my warriors, send them to my alts. That way I don't have to worry about cutting into my alt's ability to build up their class Order Hall, get those research notes done. And also get the artifact, or I think they're called the Order Hall traits or whatever they are, like the talents that you pick from said people. So that won't cut into being able to build those up as well, because those are pretty important. So overall, very, very cool. Keep in mind, of course, there is certain content that is locked behind artifact knowledge. There's the Illidan Story of the Quest, which is Ravencrest's Legacy. There is some artifact appearances that are locked behind artifact knowledge 4, 5, and 6. So keep that in mind, of course, as you're going into this as well. But overall, this is probably the one thing that I'm most excited about when it comes to patch 7.1.5. All the gameplay and content with that, very, very cool. Looking forward to, of course. But in this particular case, just simply having the artifact knowledge catch-up available to us finally at 7.1.5. To me, at least, makes it worth it. So, overall, pretty excited about the changes coming. Looking forward to playing my warrior, playing my demon hunter, getting the artifact knowledge catch-up mechanics in place for the alts that I'm getting ready to level. I did start tinkering around a little bit on the Shadow Priest the other night. Of course, this will be great once I start leveling up my Horde Warrior as well. That way I can just get him all ready to go and don't have to worry about, grinding out artifact power on a 4th tune. Micro Holidays look like they're going to be a lot of fun. The PvP arena remaps, all that good stuff. So overall, looking like a very promising patch. I'm excited to see what all comes from it. I will link the WoWhead page here where you can find all the links to everything we talked about in today's video. I'm not going to link each individual one. I'll just post this page and you guys can navigate it yourselves. It's pretty straightforward. Like literally, it's all right here. So if you can't find these or click on these, I don't know what to tell you. So. Other than that, oh, of course, profession updates would be fun too. But other than that, I think that will wrap this video up. So as always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you did enjoy. And of course, let me know down in the comment section what you're looking forward to most about patch 7.1.5, and what alt are you getting ready to dust off? What alt have you just been waiting to dig into before with the artifact knowledge catch up? Really want to hear from you guys. But that's it for me, so I'll catch you next time.